Yesterday, Jerry Seinfeld, who has been censored himself with regard to his humor, he's leftist. He's not a radical or anything like that. He's a member of the Jewish left, but he's not in any way crazy or a communist or a socialist. He has two kids that went to Duke University, my alma mater, one currently who's there. He spoke at the commencement ceremony and was verbally attacked by a bunch of radicals supporting Hamas who walked out. This is unfortunate to see this at Duke. I remember that during the days that I was there, even during the Vietnam War, I think the most people protested was whether there was cohabitation on campus. But to see Duke turn this way, it's become the Berkeley of the South in many ways. They should never have been permitted to be at that ceremony. They should have been thrown out. These people, if they're students, frankly, should be expelled. And Duke has its own issues as well. I'm very disillusioned at their basketball program. I was a big fan, and I'm no longer a fan because Duke had a very high academic reputation, particularly for integrity generally. They allow this one and done. I've talked about it before. These kids come in, and frankly, they have no interest in being a student. They stay for a year. God knows if they even pass any of their classes, and then leave and go to the NBA. That's not what school is all about. That's not what university is all about. And frankly, the whole college athletics in terms of basketball has been corrupted. Some of these players make more money than some professionals in the NBA. If you get to go to Duke, you're going to get the equivalent of at least $500 million, $500 million in tuition and all kinds of other things. And you have to play for the heart. And that's the way it should be. And that's the way I've always been. With regard to my legal practice or anything else, I never did it for the money. I never did it to be a multimillionaire. I could have gone with a big law firm in Washington, D.C. at a certain point and raked it in. I'm doing it for the American people. I'm doing it for myself and my own integrity. I'm doing it for God. And that's the way it should be, to some extent, with regard to students in college. So now you see not just the bastardization of Duke's basketball program, which frankly is a little different than any other university, but that doesn't exonerate it. But you see the fact that it's allowed itself to be corrupted with people who have no interest in this country, have no interest in anything other than protesting and making a mess in a ceremony and destroying somebody's opportunity to enjoy their graduation. And it's doing it with regard to an entity, Hamas, which is pure evil, terrorists. That's my message for today. I'm going to go against Duke here. I can't help but do it. I'm going to wage a campaign to make sure that donors don't give money to Duke. They have to learn a lesson. And just a few years ago, they actually had a course with the University of North Carolina that was killed by Betsy DeVos, then Secretary of Education, which taught that Islam is superior to Christianity and Judaism. Well, I have no problem if you teach a course that says that all those religions, if practiced correctly, are legitimate. But when you teach something like that, it tells you something. These schools need to be taught a lesson. So add Duke to the list of Ivy League schools that must be brought to their knees in our effort to do so at Freedom Watch. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. We are your real Justice Department. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. We'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.